and subscribe.
Fight fans, welcome, and I've got a special guest here with me today, a legend of women's British boxing, Beck Connolly. How are you doing today?
Hiya, I'm good, thank you.
And thanks for coming on and giving me your time today as well, Beck. I appreciate that.
Oh, no worries. Just as I said, the dog is running loose, so she may or may not join it.
If he or she wants to join in, that's perfectly fine, no problem. Well, we'll start this interview. You're 24 fights into your pro career. A few weeks ago on social media, I saw a post from you saying you'll fight anyone from 53 kilo to 57, which in boxing terms is bantamweight to featherweight. Have you had any response to that, or have you got any fight news for us or anything?
Yeah, it was basically just updating the socials because all the fight offers, I mean, anyone in women's boxing will tell you the last 12 to 18 months has really gone backwards for the women's. And I think that's from right at the very top down to debuts, everything. We haven't been moving forward at the moment. It seems to have come to either a standstill or getting worse. For myself, every single fight offer that's coming through are real big weights. And like back in the day, I used to be able to, like, I was a quick gainer. I could risk it and go up, but I just can't do it anymore. And like, I'm having to turn down money and turn down fights purely because of the weight. So it's like I'm trying to get in people's heads that we're good to go still whenever you want, but I've got to take into consideration I am not a lightweight or a super feather even. It's just too heavy for me. So it has to be bantam, super bantam, feather really at the top. But the fights just are not there at the moment. The women's is really dried up, really cold at the moment. So hopefully that will change because I wanted this to be a full-on year. A busy one after last year being injured so many times. It was a terrible year last year, but having said that, there wasn't a lot of offers there anyway. I wasn't like turning. There was, I think, who's the guy that's on DAZN now?
You meet Frank Warren when he's joining DAZN, promoter or
who's the other one? Quite
Eddie
a
Hearn?
decent promoter. John, I can't remember his name now, but I know we had one decent fight there and I had to, through injury, not take that. But apart from that, there was nothing, just real slow.
So what is your opinion of why women's boxing has gone like that? Do you think it could be the Saudi impact or anything like that?
We were just discussing this week.
Really?
It's funny because I was discussing it in the gym on Thursday. And again, this morning, one of my friends from Ireland was on the phone and he runs a boxing podcast and he was saying the exact same thing. I do think the Saudi influence is like not been great for the women over here at all. The emphasis is more on that. And it's like the all women's boxing card and boxer. Like there isn't that many fights on that show. Whereas the first one they did, it was rammed with decent fights from the start to the end. Like it was massive thing. And I just think Jonas especially deserves like that fight plug in so much more than it's been plugged. But also, we all wanted that. I'll give her a phone and she might leave me alone for a second.
That's the first on one of my interviews.
The influx of women that we wanted to come into the sport, which has absolutely happened, but it's also slowed things down a lot as well because you've which is a real shame. The women that were in the mix before were all fighters, like they'd fight anybody, whereas now people seem to be sitting on like a 1-win record and stuff, and it's like, come on, you've just got to fight. Like if you're in the arena, like this is a very short-lived career. Like just get out there, get the experience. Unless you're coming from Olympic gold standard and the very top of the amateurs, which fair play, there are going to be more and more of this coming through, because the girls, like the standard that's coming out now is hugely different.
Yeah, I agree.
Than it was.
Yeah.
And that's purely because the girls are in the gym from 6, 7, 8 years old, just like the boys. And when they're coming out the other side of the amateurs, they're that skill level now. Whereas before, like, you were just getting the tail end of the teenage years and like being chucked in. And that's not detrimental to any of us oldies or any of the like the old school elite either, because they were the best they could absolutely be at that time. And it's nice to see what's coming out now. But for everyone else that's in the mix already, turned over, get fighting. Like, get out there. There's no point protecting that 1-0 record. Come on.
I agree.
You paid a journeywoman $2,000 to go and fight you. You paid for that win. Like, get out there and fight. So fight the gatekeepers. Fight. There's a few of us. Like, get out there and actually earn your stripes. Like, sink or swim. Like, that is the pro game.
Yeah, well, the one thing, obviously, when you're talking about that, the one thing we know about you is, like, as your posts put on social media, you will absolutely, over your career, fought anybody. Some of the girls you've been in with, Natasha Jonas, Nina, you
screw loose there or something.
Just to name a few, absolutely superb. I mean, going back to how it began for you, what made you want to become a boxer?
I don't know. It's always been in there. Not so much boxing, but just fighting. And there's nothing on this God's green earth that tests you inside and out more so. Like, none of it's easy for me. Like, I don't take any of it for granted, or a walk in the park, or any of that. Like, it tests me to my absolute limits in every which way, from just being in the changing room to it's your confidence as well, your self-confidence, just everything. I always come out of there a better person for having, no matter what's gone on in the fight, screw the fight, just the whole process from start to finish. And I think it's kind of that thing, like, until I don't think you'll ever get to the stage of boxing, or I think if you ever do, where you sat there like, oh yeah, this is nothing, it's a walk in the park, I think that's the time where you're done. But it's pushing yourself to those limits, and I don't think I've ever found anything on this earth, or like, I won't lie either, it's a high, isn't it, afterwards? Like, and there's no you can't buy a high like that. Like, there's no alternative or fake high or anything you could ever do that would replicate that. And I guess that's the same whatever your sport is. It's something that you've worked for, it's something that you've dedicated time for, it's something that no one can take that away from you. Like, there's no way to cheat your way there. So yeah, that's why I do it.
Well, you can tell you absolutely live and breathe it. You just talking to you can tell that. As regards your nickname you've got in boxing, Lady Luck, I'm really intrigued to find out where that came from.
That's my coach Paddy, who is actually my coach again now. So I spent 10 years with Paddy, and then in the lockdown, he went a separate route and left pro boxing for 3 years, and that's why I've had a disaster going through coach after coach. But now he's back in pro boxing, so this is excellent. But at the time, I'm just one of those people that can, if something can go wrong, like people say, oh, that would never happen. That would definitely happen to me.
Oh, really?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The dog agrees as well.
Yeah, so it was just, I am the unluckiest person in the world, and I'm trying to get that out of my head now, because I think I attract more unluckiness by thinking it. But yeah, it was just a complete joke. Like, some of the things would be sat in the gym and be like, how has that happened to a human? And I'm like, I don't know, it just happened. Or I walk face first into stuff all the time, and you think, oh, that doesn't happen to normal people.
Well, at least I know that now. When I was preparing this interview, I thought I'm really intrigued to find out how that nickname's come about.
He also, like, Paddy's like renowned. Everyone gets a nickname, and he obviously he came up with Lady Luck, and I'm thinking, well, Beck's all right, let's leave that. And I was in the gym, and we used to have these old army mats that he'd make us flip over and over, and they're huge, and none of the girls that were training could do it. And I was stood there one day and I was flipping them over, and he was like, "Oh, I've got it, flipper." I was like, "Oh, too late, Lady Luck's on all my gear now." Sorry.
Flipper.
I was like, Lady Luck's great compared to flipper.
Yeah, I was going to say that you definitely picked the better one there. Yeah, definitely. Well, in your boxing career, I saw that your goal was to win a Commonwealth title. You haven't won that title, but looking over your career, do you feel at peace with what you've achieved in your career for when retirement does come? Are you happy with everything you've done in boxing?
Yeah, I mean, that has been a massive, massive theme for me this year, coming to terms with that. Like, I was so happy. My teammate Gemma, she just won the Commonwealth in November,
Yeah.
and I couldn't be more made up for her, like, to get an away corner win as well. I got a shot at the Commonwealth, and I gave it a blooming good go, and I really, really wanted that. That was my main goal. And unfortunately, life just got in the way. The opportunities that I had fell, like, in line with some real hard times in my personal life.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to separate the two, and I wasn't able to show up as the boxer that I was able to be and the person that I needed to be to move myself to those stages. And you just have to take it on the chin, don't you? I have to say, you know what, Beck, when push came to shove and you needed to be able to suck it up, you didn't, and you can't change that now. And I'm not going to get that opportunity now. Having said that, like, I've lived through some of the best nights of my entire life through boxing, and no one can ever take that away from me.
That's 100%, yeah.
The girls' card I maintained till the day I died, like, at the O2, like, that was a, like, phenomenal card to be on, and it was a pinch me moment walking out at the O2 to have it packed for women as well. But I'll maintain I won that fight till, like, I know they gave it to her by one round. But I felt I won, other people felt I won, and I didn't come out of there feeling like, oh, you let yourself down or gutted or anything like that.
Yeah.
I was just, like, absolutely made up with it. So yeah, I do think there's been lots of other times like that, because I think once you shoehorn yourself into a position in boxing, you often get left there, don't you? Like, oh, Beck will take it on the chin. Beck won't cause a fuss. She won't moan about the results.
Yeah.
And you're easy to, like, oh, we'll just give it to that, like,
Yeah, I get that.
corner by one round.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
I could go through my pro win, like, wins that are downers, losses by a point, and I could get really bitter about that, but what would be the point? Oh, it wouldn't change anything. I do think I deserved a shot at, like, either an area title or a Commonwealth. Like, those lower belts were what I was aiming for, and I'm gutted. Like, this is, like, as far as I'm aware or concerned, as long as it goes all right this year, this was my last year fighting. Like, I was thinking, right, the licensing's too expensive. I've got my manager's license now. I want to make that transition over. But I wanted, like, some good fights to end up on, and that's why we've been pushing the socials again, because, as I say, last year, just absolute dire, really. My health wasn't good, the injuries weren't good. Also, like, the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people, like having Paddy as well. Like, back in the day, he was the reason I was so, like, switched on and so like into boxing and able to dedicate myself, was because I was surrounded by great people.
Yeah.
Last year, like, I just let I had one really big influence in my life last year, and without even realizing how much they were draining you, it was someone that had let themselves go into in their 40s, and just like little comments all the time. Well, you are getting older now, you know, yeah. And you don't realize how much of an impact that has. And I started buying into it. I was like, yeah, I'm probably too old for this now. This year, now, like, I've got all those sort of influences away from me.
Yeah.
Like, are you crazy? Like, you're probably in better shape now than you were in your 20s. Like, this is ridiculous, Beck. I can't believe you started to buy into the mindset of the people around you. And like, all of a sudden, I've got a renewed sense of fighting back in me now. And one thing we were always going to do before, in 2020, we wanted to multi-sport. So my background's in judo. That's where I started out. So the cage has always been something that was like on my mind.
Really?
And we did. Paddy was like, right, brilliant. So we started the jiu-jitsu training, and the only thing that I really couldn't do was kick. And then we didn't realize at the time, and Paddy didn't know either, but the board were like, absolutely can't multi-sport. We won't like have it at all. Which is fair enough. Like, if you're a boxer, you're a boxer. So we kind of let that, like, well, I did, especially when Paddy left pro boxing, and I was just concentrating on the boxing because that is my love at the end of the day, and that's more important for me. But this year, like, it's like, well, if you're leaving boxing, then we're not going to leave without like fully committing to getting in the cage before we're done with fighting to get all together. So I don't know, it's given me, whilst I am totally just boxing until I'm no longer licensed, that is the aim from there. And I've just got back from Thailand, actually, because we were like, right, who's going to teach you to kick better than the Thais?
Yeah,
like,
correct.
Anyone can do it. Turns out my right leg's all right. My left leg is. We're going to have to improve on that before we get in there. Otherwise, I'm going to be going around in circles. But yeah, it's really like just made me excited for fighting again. Like, it's given me a renewed sort of lease of life, and being back down in the gym on Thursday, just boxing, and we're boxing again this week. And trying to get the fights in. I think it's what I needed to give me that bounce back for it. Made absolute schoolgirl error in Thailand. I didn't realize, like, if you've got calluses, when you do like gymnastics and calisthenics and you're on the bar, like, your calluses rip open and your hands like are terrible. I remember when I started gymnastics, that was what I was like. I didn't even think about that with barefoot training. So I'm on the mats for a day or so, and my feet are just like ripped open. I was like, oh my god, this hurts.
We won't talk about that one any further. And speaking about the 40s club, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm in that with you too. So up the 40s club.
You know what? I'm just kind of. This is my year of acceptance.
There's nothing we can do. Nothing we can do. No. So this is I appreciate this is going to be a hard question for you to answer. Really, who's the best fighter you think you've ever shared the ring with? And there is that many that you can look at. So I appreciate it's difficult, but would you be able to pick me one?
Yeah, do you know what? I was down with Caroline Dubois, taking one of my girls down there sparring the other week, and she asked me the exact same question.
Oh, really?
I think Ellie Scotney, skill-wise, sharpness, just definitely one of the best. But then, like, Bridges, the power that woman had was unreal. Like, there's not many people that have hit me with that much power, and you just wouldn't think it looking at her, would you? And yeah, the southpaw with Natasha Jonas didn't help me at all. I kept tripping over that front foot. Like, it was just, I hate a southpaw. I hate fighting a southpaw. Like, their feet are just in the wrong place. But yeah, I think, there's been so many. Like, Nina Hughes was fast. But definitely, I think Ellie Scotney. Give me 30 seconds.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Well, this is a first on my channel that someone's had to go and feed the dog. or
He's just going to bark and bark,
yeah,
otherwise you can
that's fair
blame
enough. No problem.
That's Lee, and that is. He sold me that dog.
Oh, really? No.
Got a
There's the first
malfunctioning one.
first to find out everything. So you spoke about one fight there, Ebony Bridges, where you fought Ebony in Eddie's back garden matchroom headquarters, which was labelled Fight Camp. Such a unique event. Can you sort of like describe what that was like, fighting in Eddie Hearn's back garden at such a strange time when it was going on?
Do you know what, that fight, that camp, that is my one regret that I would take to the very dead, like my grave with me. It was such a great opportunity, such a brilliant show to be on. Like, it was another real pinch me, I can't believe. And it was a genuine shot as well. Like, the opportunity was there for the taking. It was mine for the taking. I had a full camp. It was a bantamweight. Everything that I could ever have like asked for, really. And it was so well run. Everything was great. As I say, everything in my personal life, and not having a coach at the time, and it just couldn't have gone worse. You couldn't have had two more like conflicting timings happen. But again, I have to take self-responsibility. At some point in your life, you have to go, that was due to the decisions you made and the situations you got yourself into and the people you allowed in your life, and unfortunately you screwed your own dreams up.
At least you're honest, though. At least it's honesty, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that is a massive regret. That is one fight that I would love a do-over. Like, I've always said that if I could have one fight and be allowed to do that fight again, it would be Bridges. I really wanted the Stevie Levy fight again, because that was another fight that was like one round off, and I was like, yeah, I definitely take that. Everyone else, I fought him. That's it, done, dusted, no arguments. But yeah, I would love for my personal sort of peace of mind, if I could
take it again.
One fight again, it would be that one.
I actually watched that fight back last night on YouTube, you versus Ebony Bridges, when I was putting like everything together, and it was what a strange time, and like you say, that event's so unique and such a brilliant thing that Eddie done there. He was fantastic.
I think Danny and Gemma, like my teammates, I didn't know them then, so they'd just been watching me like in the Scotney fight, in the Ali fight, and then that. And it's really bizarre. Now we know each other like inside out and back to front, and they know what was going on. And they were like, you know what? We sat there that night when you came out and we said, something's wrong with her. Connolly's not Connolly. And looking back now, like, I couldn't watch it because I remember standing at the top before walking out, and I looked at the security, said, are you all right there? No, I'm not. And I remember thinking in my head, I just do not want to be here. Like, I remember thinking, I just want this over and done with. I'm never doing this. And I remember thinking those things at the top of the steps, like, I'm never doing this again. Like, I'm never putting myself in this situation again. And now
you look back,
the work, like, I wanted that. I'd worked so hard to achieve that moment, and get that opportunity, and then to get there and be so battered from everything else that you just like, I don't want to be here. I just want to be at home. I just don't want to, and that will stay with me.
It's a shame, but obviously we all know you can't turn back time to feel like that. It is a shame to feel like that. In May 2023, you became a professional boxing manager. You're already a nutritionist. You're already a coach. Obviously, you're coaching fighters. Recently, you spoke about earlier, you have been and sparred Caroline Dubois.
Oh, I was taking the girls down to...
Oh, you didn't spar Caroline? Yeah. Oh, okay. Your fighters sparred Caroline Dubois.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, Caroline's a brilliant boxer. She's part of the March 7th card called Unstoppable, which is Natasha Jonas, Lauren Price. We touched on similar earlier, where you were saying about women's boxing has changed. But surely, as a part of women's boxing, you must feel very proud for women to actually put on a card like that, where it's just a women's boxing show.
Oh, absolutely. And as I say, the last one, just packed out just from women, and I thought I knew this would happen one day, and I'm so glad they're doing it again. I do think they can stack that card out a lot more. I do think they could.
It's not as good as the first one, I agree.
No, they could be pushing that, especially like Jonas deserves that, but Caroline, like, she is the one to watch. Like,
yeah,
absolute beast. Technically a beast, strength wise a beast, and the nicest girl to boot as well. And I think that, I don't care what anyone says when they're like, oh, it doesn't matter what someone's person. Yes, it does, actually. Like, no one wants to see a nasty person do really, really well for themselves. And we've all seen that happen. And I just think, as a Brit, like, she's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I do think she gets maybe swerved quite a bit, and she hasn't had the opportunity.
Yeah, I agree,
she deserved to have. And I think even now, like, she's definitely being swerved because people know she's a career ender for her.
Yeah. I agree, so that main event of that card is Natasha Jonas versus Lauren Price. Do you have a prediction for that at all?
I know what I want to happen, but I do genuinely think that Jonas is gonna show why she's been at the top for so long.
Yeah.
I don't think she's anywhere near like peaked.
Oh really?
I think she's got a good few years left in her. Like, absolutely. I think people also underestimate how much aging doesn't affect the women anymore, like, at all, because A, we come into our strength and everything else a lot later, but B, even the men, like, we're looking after ourselves. The science has changed, like, everything.
I do agree,
like, health wise, we're not getting to 40 and being like, oh, I need a walking frame. And I know the only thing that could affect that camp is obviously her coach at the moment. That's got to have a massive impact on you. Because they've been together forever, haven't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, but I do think, and I would like to see it as well. Jonas proving why, and she's always been respectful of everything as well. Like, she doesn't trash talk. She doesn't like.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Talk nonsense. So I think it'd be good for the younger generation to see that as well, and that's how you conduct yourself.
That's great. I mean, last but not least, I found a statement on your website which I thought would be a brilliant way to end this interview.
Oh God,
and I thought it was honestly, I thought it was fantastic. It says, I have fought every world champion elite female boxer from super bantam to super featherweight, and I intend to keep testing myself with the best until my career ends. What a brilliant way. I mean, that is just the absolute of your career though, isn't it? Really, you've been in with everybody.
It has been wonderful, and I intend to finish how I started. The board were excellent this year, and they did recognise that, and it was nice to get the recognition, because sometimes it's easy to feel like, oh, no one gives it, no one cares what you've done, only you back. So no, that was really wonderful that they did that. But 100% true.
Yeah, and Bex, I want to thank you so much for your time today. It's been a fascinating interview with you, and I really appreciate you coming on with me. And you've been a great servant to British boxing. Like you say, there's still time left for you as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm still going strong.
You're still going strong.
Aging like wine.
That's it, yeah. And we'll look forward to seeing you back in the ring as well.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks for your time, Bex. Really appreciate it.
Sorry about the dog.
No, don't worry. The dog's been all part.
Halfway through.
I'll tag the dog in this on social media as well.
Excellent.
Thanks for your time, Bex. Thank you very much, Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.